My wife Lisa just came home from Walmart after spending $171 just getting normal groceries for us. I remember not that long ago when it was under 100, and it was kind of a big deal when we broke through 100. We just kind of teased each other and like, oh my gosh, we spent $108, and it was 171 and didn't buy that much. Inflation is very real and it impacts retirees especially hard. It must be recognized first and then planned for. It's just a silent killer out there. I know it was a big mistake of mine when I retired in 2019. Did not plan a lot for inflation. It was just not that big of a deal, 2 to 3% for the last 10 years or so. But you need to realize with deficit spending by the government, okay, this is not political at all. This is just math. If you bring in $4 trillion in income and you spend $6 trillion, which I think those are roughly right numbers, that $2 trillion is borrowed, diluting the existing money supply, okay, which drives up inflation. So the government is enabling themselves to spend more money by borrowing. It's really a tax. Inflation is a tax, okay? Again, not political at all, but it is bad, and I expect it to get worse. I'm not sure you're going to see 9, 10, 11, 12% inflation, but I think it's going to be pushed towards 3, 4, and 5 very regularly over the next foreseeable future until something changes. So how, as a retiree, am I planning for that? What mistakes do I see people making? Today, I've got 11 money mistakes I see retirees making in an inflation economy. Okay, and on each one, I'm going to tell what I'm doing about it. Okay, what I'm personally doing, not advice to you, just what I'm personally doing. So, number one, keeping too much cash. Cash loses its purchasing power. I know it feels safe having a lot of money in the bank or even a CD, but how much cash you have, if you're getting, 2, 3%, maybe even 4%, that's basically keeping up with inflation right now, and they're planning on lowering rates. So when rates get lowered and inflation may go up, you could be losing purchasing power. So how much cash do you have? Um, I I've got I don't have a lot of actual cash. I keep about 2 months of expenses in cash, and then I have money in a no longer in a CD, and I don't have any tips right now. It's all in a money market fund. So I'm trying to, push short-term money market funds are basically short-term duration loans. Um, so I'm getting that return, and I can't say I feel great about that, but I my plan is to keep it up with inflation and to be simple. Okay, I don't make I don't want to have 50 different investments for my liquid cash. Okay, so that's what I'm doing. And when you totally look at my portfolio, I've got about 10% in very liquid assets like a CD or tips or money market fund right now. And then I got about another 10% in bonds. Okay, so 20%. These are rough numbers. And then about 80% in equities. Okay, so I'm 80-20. I'm actually 83-17 if you want to put a sharp pencil on to it. 83-17. So I'm not keeping a lot in cash. Equities is the way you beat inflation historically. Number two, locking in long-term fixed income too early. So many retirees, you go into retirement, perhaps you're even 100% equity, 0% bonds. That's where I was, starting maybe 4 or 5 years before retiring. And then they immediately go to 60-40 or 50-50 or 40-60. feel safe. You got safe assets, feel safe, but are they really safe when you look at inflation? Me personally, I don't think so. That's my personal opinion. That's why I'm so heavily um, based in, rooted in equities. Because are you a long-term investor if, you're 61 and you're planning on living another 30 years? 30 years sounds like a long-term investor. So don't lock in fixed things too soon is my mantra. Number three, not diversifying income sources. So this has been very valuable to me. Is yes, I've got a pension, $16,000 a year. It's not huge, but it's not adjusted for inflation. Social Security is adjusted for inflation. I love that. I'm trying to push that to as far close to 70 as I can, to have really a backstop. I call it a backstop, a safety net. If the investments go down and inflation goes up, investment returns down, I've got Social Security to the max, which is adjusted for inflation. Also, I'm very diversified in my investments. I got some growth stocks. I've got some dividend stocks. I got some value stocks. I got small caps. I got mid caps, and I got international. I got 17% international. Not trying to maximize returns, but trying to be diversified to protect. Okay, so diversify your income sources in case one is hit harder than the other, from inflation or just market issues. Number four, overspending in the first 5 years. Inflation, the insidious nature of inflation is, if inflation goes up 10% this year, that impacts the next 29 years of your retirement. Okay. It's not just a one and done. It's not a one-time expense. Next inflation builds on top of that. So it can destroy your retirement planning. So that first 5 years can be critical. If you overspend due to inflation in year 20, it's not near as impactful as year 1 through 5. And I'm seeing that, when most of it's luck. I retired in 19. I've been retired 6.5 years now. And most of that time, very low inflation. Most of that time, very good returns. So I'm kind of past this. But this is a challenge right now that's out there in front of people. Number 5, Social Security. I alluded to this before, but Social Security, I love that income stream because it's adjusted for inflation. I know it may be tempting to take that at 62, and there are good reasons for taking it at 62, but make sure you do the math, not the emotion. You do the math for what it means to delay to 67 and 70. For you and your spouse, if you're married, do the math inside a comprehensive software package and see how it actually increases your Monte Carlo score almost every time. I've never seen it go down. It may for you, but every analysis I've ever done, and I've done it for a lot of people, including myself, is you delay Social Security, your Monte Carlo score will go up because of the stability of that resource and how it's adjusted for inflation. It's great. Number 6, ignoring healthcare inflation. Medical cost inflation is higher than the consumer price index. Has been, probably always will be. There's so much innovation going on there, and it's expensive. It's expensive. Gosh, when I think of healthcare, I think of the local hospital I go to and how beautiful the building is and how brand new the building is. And there's a lot of money being spent there. And one of the things that's great about the comprehensive software that I use, Boldin, is you can put in a separate healthcare inflation number, separate home ownership inflation, home equity, and general inflation, 3 different numbers. Does your package do that? Probably not. Number 7, failing to revisit your budget annually. I do this every 6 months. I go in and look at what I'm spending versus what I thought I was going to spend. And just looking in the mirror and say, are we ahead or behind? Do we need to change something? Do we need to adapt? A lot of levers to adapt. You can dial down your go-go spending. You could push off a home remodel or something like that. Stay with that car for another couple of years. But your plan is 100% wrong. I'm 100% sure my plan and your plan is wrong. The beauty in the plan is it's a snapshot in time and that it can be adapted based on conditions that come at you. You know the levers and you adapt. That's what a plan is. Know what, know the impact of Social Security, know the impact of your spending, know the impact of, rates of return, risks that you take, and then you adapt along the way. But if you never look, you can't adapt. Okay. Number 8, not adjusting lifestyle flexibility. This is, related to, revisiting your budget. You got to look at your lifestyle. Is your lifestyle creeping up? Is it creeping down? Is inflation eating away at that where you may need to dial things down a little bit? But you got to, your superpower and my superpower is being able to adapt. But you need to know when you need to adapt. Okay. And that means having a plan. Okay. Number 10, panic. No, I looked right at number 9, said number 10. Uh, Number 9, panic selling investments during volatility. You may be thinking, what's this have to do with inflation? Everything to do with inflation. So, I said that my portfolio mix is 17% fixed, and that gives me 10 years of needed money from my investments. Okay, net of all my income, my pension, any Social Security that I'm going to get in a few years. YouTube, what do I need from my investments? I got that set aside 10 years, and that ends up being 17%. And the rest is in equities, 83%. That also provides me, that 10 years provides me a buffer to market drama. Okay. April 2025, I got hundreds of comments about people that are getting out of the market because it dropped 20%, I think, like in just a few days with the tariffs being announced. And we're at record highs today. Panic selling comes from not having a plan. It's an emotional response, not feeling confident in your plan. Okay. So if you did sell off anything in April of this year, or in 2022, or in 20, okay, your plan's not good enough for you to have confidence in it. I yawned through those. Okay. I can't say that there wasn't some stressful times, the pandemic, you thought, hey, this is the end. 2008 and, 7, 8, and 9 were what, really concerned me with the market, with the great financial crisis. But having a cash buffer, knowing that I have 10 years to ride this out, yeah, maybe 8, maybe 12, but my target is, whatever inflation does, I've got a cash buffer of multiple years so that I do not need to panic sell, because equities and assets are what's needed to offset inflation. Okay. Fixed assets do okay, not 100%. They do okay. They fall just a little bit short of keeping up with inflation. There's things like tips out there that are, do a much better job, and I'm just not there yet with tips. And I am studying tips, by the way. But I am an equity person. I've always been an equity person. I had 100% equities most of my life. And I believe in the power of human beings to innovate, to create, to produce. And I'm just betting on them. I'm betting on companies. And I feel more comfortable about that than bonds and treasuries and things like that. But fundamental in that is my ability not to react to market drama, not to react. Part of my ability not to react comes from my retirement group that I run things by. Part of it is my, financial advisor that's provided for me, Neil. I've talked about him a lot. And part of that is understanding history of bear markets and the bull market returns. And 10 years, it makes me very comfortable to not panic sell. So if you sold anything in the last 3 or so bear markets, that's a signal that you're not confident in your plan. And, number one, what I would do with that is I'd contact the folks at Money Pickle, free financial advisor. Talked about your issues. Say, I'm not comfortable with my plan. I sold 10% in the last event. Can you look at my plan and give me just a quick look? They'll spend 45 minutes with you, 45 minutes on your issue without trying to sell you anything. They may ask for what do you think the next steps ought to be if they identify some problems, and you can say, hey, I think I'm good. I'll call you if I need something. But you need to do something about your confidence in your plan. You could do a $300 plan review with the folks at Donaldson Capital Management or Defining Wealth, two excellent groups. I've heard unbelievable positive feedback from people that got a $300 plan review from them, and it increases your confidence to not panic sell. Not panic sell. You got a plan, you know the levers, and one of the levers is not emotionally reacting. Okay. Number 10, hey, so many people I've talked to said, hey, I've got this pension and this annuity and I got all my basic expenses covered. And then I say, are they adjusted for inflation? And then they tell me, no. Well, there's a trap. There's a trap in there. So you think I call this a retirement mistake. You look at a snapshot in time and say, I need $6,000. I got $6,001 coming in from pensions. I'm fine. Fast forward 10 years, you're not fine. 5 years, you're not fine. Okay. So make sure you're using a comprehensive software package that looks at retirement spending over time with inflation in there, and you stress test inflation, which means take it from 3% to 4% to 5%, see where your plan fails. Okay. And pensions and annuities can be a massive trap where you feel great now and all of a sudden you go, what happened? Number 11, this one is a big one, but it's a little more complicated. It's not protecting yourself from sequence of return risk combined with high inflation. So say the market tanks and you happen to have high inflation at the same time. Oh my gosh, now your assets are down and you have to pull out more money. So sequence return risk is a real issue, and most of it's luck. Okay. You can have a great plan and you retire at the beginning of 2022 and you get a gut check. Okay. You get a punch in the stomach. That's just luck. I retired in 19, had good market returns. Okay. You retire in 2022, bad market returns. Just luck of the draw with the exact same plan. But you get high inflation coupled with that. It's just a massacre. So my message is sequence of return risk is a big deal. Plan for it. That means getting low returns early on in your retirement career. I'm working my way past that now, 6.5 years in retirement, but early in retirement, your first 5, 6, 7 years, getting good returns there is a big deal. You need to protect yourself from, market pulling equities, selling equities during a down market during that time period. And this just gets gasoline poured on it when you have high inflation at the same time. So plan for that. So your action today is grade yourself against these 11 items. I said 11 items that I see people making mistakes on as they do their retirement planning. Keep in mind, I was a retirement coach and did 300 clients. Okay, so I've met with 300 families looking at their plans. I've seen a lot. I get hundreds of comments a day, about a dozen emails a day asking people to look at their plans. So, I've got a lot of, anecdotal evidence on what mistakes people are making. Not saying you are, but here are 11 things for you to look at. And, if you got, 8 out of 11 of these, that's still not good. You need all 11. Okay. Do you have a plan for all 11 of these? I told you what I'm doing. Um, Leave me a comment if you disagree, or if you've got another idea you're doing about inflation. I may make another video on that. I may learn something. Okay. I learn something every single day. Today could be your day to teach me something. Make sense? Just Joe out.